Right, settle down and listen up. This is a longer video. You're going to need to follow along with the PowerPoint that's in the OneNote as well. And you're going to have to probably stop and think and, reflect on what I'm talking about, because some of the concepts are a little bit higher level. So what this is I'm going to talk you through a process, and the process is called normalization. Normalization is when you sort of stabilize a set of data. You stabilize it in the sense that you are going to make it so that that set of data is never going to have any integrity issues. Forgotten what that means? Look up integrity issues. Okay, the basic principle is that what you're going to do is you're going to start with a bunch of data, which we're going to call our flat file database, very similar to the database that you've been putting together in the previous videos for the school. So that's just one long table. Now what you're going to do through the process of normalization is that you're going to split that up into a number of different tables, but then create relationships between them so that you can access one piece of data through another. Okay. That's the process of normalization. Why do we do it? We do it to avoid things like repeated data. We'll talk about why repeated data is a bad thing. And we do it to reduce the size and to increase the efficiency and speed of any searches we're doing for the database. Also, by splitting it into smaller subsets of tables, it means that we can then use those as building blocks for the kind of information we want to get out. So say if we wanted information about a student and we wanted to have their clubs and we wanted to have their parent information and we wanted to have their bus information and their homeroom teacher's information, all of that stuff can be stored in separate tables, and because it all relates to the same student, did you hear the word relate? Yeah? Because it relates to the same student, it then pulls the data from those different tables. So what we're going to be doing is creating a related set of tables. And how we're going to do that is through the process of normalization. Okay, so how are we linking these tables up? Well, here's the example. On the 20th of September 2002, Homer Simpson goes into a DIY shop, that's like Builder's Warehouse, to buy some items. He buys a hammer, 3 packets of nails, 5 bottles of glue, 2 packets of cupcakes. Now, all of that data is related to each other. It's related to each other because it's all about this same real life event in time. Okay? But I hope you're starting to see that there's some different sets of data within that. Now, the shop that he buys it from needs to record who he is and what he bought. So let's have a look at what that data is going to look like. First of all, in terms of a flat file database, and this is always a good place to start. So when you start doing your summative assignment for this unit, you're going to start with a flat file database. Okay, you're going to just list all of the fields that you want to store in one massive long table, and then you're going to go through this process of normalization that's going to split that up into a working set of tables. So let's have a look at what this flat file database looks like at the moment. So there it is. We've got forename, surname, date of birth, number of children, his gender, the quantity of items that he bought, the actual item, and the date that he bought it. So now let's look at that with some data in it. Okay. Just let's absorb that for a second. Can you see that? What's the problem? Obviously, a bunch of repeating data. Look at this here. Okay. Because what we're doing here is we've got one record and we're trying to store data about Homer Simpson, and we're also storing data about the stuff that he bought, all in one long record. It means that we in effect have to put in, 4 records because he bought 4 different items, right? And that means that we're repeating all of this data again and again. Okay. Now the reason why that happens is because this table contains data about more than one thing. And I mean the word thing there in the technical sense. If you want another word for it, it's called a data entity. okay? A data entity or thing, okay? So what we now need to do is we need to follow some kind of process to be able to split this up, okay? So we change from a flat file database into a set of related tables. Okay, first rule, there's 3. This is the first. First thing you do is you make sure all the records are unique, and it's the easiest thing. All you need to do is add a primary key field. Okay, basic concepts of primary key fields. Different data items have different things to do with each other. So here's a bunch of different data, but those things all have something to do with each other. In that case, those are all pieces of data about a Mr. Homer Simpson. Now, if there are 2 Homer Simpsons who are all married or all have 3 kids, who are all males, who are all safety officers in Springfield, we need to differentiate them somehow. And so, I mean, the chances of that happening are slim, but the fact is it could happen. So what we're going to do is we add in another field, and that field is the primary key field. You've talked about primary key fields before. The whole point of a primary key field is that it exists to ensure 100% certainty that that record is unique. So now I can refer to record 1 and record 2. And those are completely different by definition, because not every single piece of data is the same. Yeah? Because one of them has an ID number 1, one of them has an ID number 2. Okay. Here's what our final record structure would look like just in this example, and you can see there's now 2 records and they are different. So we've met our first goal. Yeah? Each record is unique. There's a bunch of other data that we're going to be playing around with later on, because these are all people. Yeah? Now, this Homer Simpson is a different record to this Homer Simpson, as far as this goes, by definition. Yeah? So, the first rule of normalization, add a primary key field and make every single record unique. When you're adding that primary key field, what you're also doing is you're deciding what that table is actually going to be about. What do you think this table is about? Now, what if we wanted to store more data than that? Yeah? What if we wanted to indicate this shop? And the shop has the phenomenon that any customer can go in and buy as many things as they want. Some people buy 1 thing, some people buy 3 or 4, some hundreds. So we want to be able to store that diversity of data. Okay? How can we store it? Right. Here we're on to the second rule of normalization. The video is going to stop here. What I want you to do is I want you to now go and think about your first rule of normalization. Make sure that you know exactly what a primary key field is, and just review what you've already found out about primary key fields. Okay? We are going to be looking at related tables. Your task for this video is actually to do with defining what a related table is, and you can tackle that at the end of the next video. So for now, what I want you to do, go and just review what we've done before to do with primary key fields, and then you can join me back here for the second rule of normalization.